welcome back to my channel. Today's video is an addition to the Honest Work Conversations. It's about raw, honest conversations, real conversations about what happens at the workplace. So I'm a young professional. I don't know if I can still say young. I will keep saying young. I am young. I'm a young Kenyan professional working in the UK, and I've been doing so for about since 2017. That's about how many years? It's been a while. It's been like what, 7 years? Oh, yes. So I've been working. I work in STEM. I don't know why I felt the need to introduce that, but actually, if it's your first time seeing coming across this video, then that was very relevant for you. But for the rest, if you've been part of the farm for some time, then you know my journey. You know I came to the UK to study, etc. So check out a playlist that I'm going to tag here about my career series. I've been talking about work for some time now, or even my study and work journey for some time now, so make sure to check those out. Anyway, today's video is an interesting one. It's definitely more on the raw side. It's going to be about how to know it's time to change your job. So I've changed my job once, intentionally. I've changed my job once. So I changed 1.5 years ago. I still was at another big four. I'm at another big four at this point. So I switched jobs, and of course there were some drivers that drove that decision. I think I've actually discussed that in one of my life update videos, but today it's not going to be specific to my own experience. I'm just going to be discussing genuinely what are some of the indicators you need to look out for. You're probably experiencing them anyway, and you kind of know your intuition is telling you this is not the place for me. I need to change my job, and you need to listen to that intuition, but you also need to use your mind and make the switch at the right moment. Unless you have the luxury of 6 months savings somewhere, and your bills are paid basically, you probably want to make it very tactfully so that you benefit the most, and you don't have a period where you don't have means to pay your bills. So anyway, what are some of the I'll mention 3 key things, because I like doing things in threes since I learned that that's most memorable. Some of the 3 top things, in my opinion, that you need to look out for. And if they're there, then it's probably time to change your job. First one being you feel undervalued. So this was my key driver, and it's probably most people's key driver for switching jobs. So if you feel that you're not getting the recognition you deserve, for whatever reason, and it's not seeming like it's rectifiable, at least imminently, then that's a good enough reason to change a job. Yes, I know it can feel, especially if that was your first job, coming from uni, you did your grad scheme there's some sense of loyalty that you have. You don't know any better anyway, you don't know anywhere else, so there's a bit of fear and a sense of loyalty that you can have, and just be like, let me just try during the next round, whatever. So this is more so to do with promotions. So feeling undervalued tends to align most with recognition, but there are other reasons why you might feel undervalued. But I'll start with the one that's most relatable, at least to me. So if you feel you're ready for the next grade, and you've been communicating that, you follow the process that's available, that has been told to you by your line manager, performance manager, etc., and you feel that you are not getting the recognition you deserve, and the recognition would be through getting a promotion. It could be there are certain incentives or bonuses, things like that that are aligned to your performance process, and you don't feel that you're getting that. While maybe the reason why you're feeling that is maybe because you know you can get it, because there are times when you're ready and everyone knows you're ready, but the economy isn't the best, and your company is actually cutting people. So in that case, it's nothing specific to you or your situation. It's just the times of the year. It's just how it is at that moment in time. That can be different. But if you know that there's no reason why you can't be recognized, then it's more incentive for you to probably change your workplace and change your employer, basically, for that. And I did, and many people do. In fact, I was seeing some stats online that if you want to increase your salary, for your salary to be breaking bands every so often, you probably want to change your job every 3 years anyway. Now take it with a pinch of salt. Of course, if your current workplace you're progressing through properly anyway, then why should you just change employer just for the sake of it? But you want to, the typical duration in a role in a certain grade is normally 3 years. At least if you're performing as you should, and you're not having any specific circumstance that makes it different for you. Normally, 3 years is good enough for you to make it to the next grade. So if it's been 3 years, of course, people make it in a shorter time sometimes, depends on what's going on. If you have opportunity, plus you have the effort that it takes to make it, you can make it in a much shorter time. But if you're following what needs to be, everything's by the book, then you ideally should progress every 3 years to the next grade. And if they don't, time to change your employer. Anyway, so one of the reasons is feeling undervalued. And you normally know this because you might, personally what I've felt is like the goalpost is changing. So it could be you discuss it with your line manager, like I'd love to stretch beyond my current grade expectations. I'd love to start preparing for the next stage, because normally what happens is for you to get that promotion, you need to be performing at that level at least a year beforehand, a year or longer, depending on how senior that level is. So you need to show that you have potential. You need to legitimize that by getting evidence to back you up. So it could be through picking up more responsibility, performing at that role, being sold at that role for a client. If you're in consulting, being sold as that next grade on your project, or essentially you take such responsibilities from your lead that that lead is able to do other things. So you're showing that you're offloading things from your senior to yourself, and your senior should be able to back you and say that, yes, I've been able to do a lot more things, and even take a sit back because so and so has picked this from me, and she or he is performing at that next grade. So if you feel you're doing that and still you're not getting recognized, or they always seem to find something to put you at that grade, then you probably want to be like, unless you can see that it's genuine and it's a legitimate reason, and everyone else, your peers, are also being graded the same, then if it's not the case and you're seeing your peers still progressing and you feel that you're performing at par with them, if you're able to have that conversation with your lead and it's still not being addressed, it's probably time to change your employer. Yeah, it's time. Like, we don't, at the end of the day, you work for yourself. Even though you're employed, your business is your job. And if this job is not serving you and your needs, then you probably need to take your business elsewhere. Yeah, and it is what it is. Another reason why you would consider changing your employer would be things like you have a bad boss. Now, I thank God I've not had this situation specifically, because I can not imagine how it would affect my mental wellness if my boss had issues with me beyond work. So what I'm trying to say is, sometimes we're not perfect, we're human. You'll make a mistake, and your manager, it's their job to essentially let you know, give you that criticism, constructive criticism, but also give you the opportunity to rectify it. They're not meant to make your life a living hell. You're not meant to feel like you're being personally attacked. It's meant to be very professional. It's, this and this happened, this is how it should have been, and this is how you should rectify. There should be some positive reinforcement. That you shouldn't feel like shit. Just because you maybe made a mistake, or they should help you come back to how things should be. So if you feel your boss is coming for you personally, and you've tried, because other ways you could do it is maybe you have someone in your team you can go to, who you can, they can be a sounding board. You can sense check, wait, this and this happened, does that sound right to you? You have to be very careful who you tell this, by the way. It has to be a trusted party, someone who maybe you have some sort of rapport. This is why it's good to have rapport with some leads, have a mentorship relationship, have a mentor in the organization who you can tell such things, you can sense check with. Ideally, someone outside of your team who wouldn't be biased. They have no reason to be biased, and they'll be able to tell you honestly, and also give you realistic tips on how to navigate this in your organization. So if you follow those whistleblowing protocols, guys, by the way, whistleblowing is not really whistleblowing, so just know if you're whistleblowing, you are ready to deal with what comes. So that's why it's always good to reach out to your mentor. Have a mentor outside of your team, someone who would be unbiased, who would be neutral, who would be able to advise you accordingly, give you practical steps that will not bounce back and come to bite you in the ass later on. And if you follow those steps and still your situation isn't changing, then yeah, it's time to change your employer. You don't need to be dealing with depression. You shouldn't be getting depression from your job, guys. It shouldn't be the case. So it's probably time to change your employer if that's the case. Another one, the last one for today. If you don't feel, how can I put it? If you feel, if you dread Mondays, that will be the gauge to put it, because it could be because of different things. But this is the indicator that I'd like to focus on. If you dread Mondays, and this dreading doesn't change even when you've gone for leave for like a month, you come back, you still dread your job. You can't wait for 5 o'clock to reach. You check your time. You feel like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but if you have a disease over you, your work feels like a disease. It feels like a burden. It feels like I can't deal with this anymore, and it's starting to affect your mental health. That's probably a sign that you need to go. And this could be due to different reasons. It could be your boss is the best, but just the sheer amount of work, you guys are under-resourced. You've tried to flag this multiple times and it's not being addressed. You love the job, you love the boss, but it's just the circumstances aren't really favoring you. I mean, who said that you have to be the one to deal with that? Who said you have to carry that cross? Start looking. Especially when you've tried to address it. You've done what is in your control to address it, and it's still not happening. There's no work-life balance. Guys, time to consider other options. Another reason could be you're not getting an opportunity to grow. So it could be you feel you're ready for the next grade, but you're not really getting the opportunity to showcase and build that case, that story. So it could be you're not getting an opportunity to train, because it could be you need to complete certain things, to learn certain skills, and you're just not getting the opportunity to. It could be your team is just too small, or there's just things are dry when it comes to opportunities, projects, whatever. Or it could be your role is just limiting you. So it could be things like just the role that you have, there's no leeway for you to get exposure to different things. So those, it can be that it's not even the employer you need to change, it's your role that you need to change. Either way, you're changing jobs, right? So if your role is limiting you and holding you back from growing and going to the next grade, it's time to change jobs, honey. It's time to change jobs. And I just wanted to close this off because those were like the 3 top things, and it's probably nothing new to you. If you are feeling, it's usually a gut thing. You'll feel like, this is not my place. I'm not being recognized. My boss is you know, and I'm just dreading work. You probably already know that it's time to change your job. But some of the things you need to do to prepare is, I'd say don't act off of emotions. In fact, I don't know if this needs to be a separate video, but I'll touch on certain things. Tell me in the comments if you want me to do a part 2 of this. But please don't act on emotions. Be strategic. Do not impulsively. If for example, you're having an altercation with a fellow staff, a PM, or fellow staff member, your boss or whoever, take a walk. Go offline, even if it's for an hour, if that's what's going to help you. Go for a walk, but do not act off of emotion, please. Do not hand in that resignation just off of emotion, especially when you know you don't have the luxury to. Because a lot of this you can plan. A lot of moves are made in silence. A lot of power moves are made in silence. No one needs to know that you're looking outside, and only when your stars align that you make the jump. There's some people who have the luxury of handing in their resignation and leaving immediately and figuring out ahead. Please don't do that. Life is not that simple. You can probably take a bit of a step back, because sometimes you're looking for that external validation, for people to say you're doing a good job. Now that you know you're never going to get it, like, just take a seat back, ride the wave as you're looking for opportunities. Also, it depends on the state of the market. Like right now, the state of the economy is terrible. Now is not the time to make a move. So what is it that you can do instead? You can probably start gathering your certifications. You can start even looking for those two opportunities, even if they are not, you're not getting paid for them. You can start picking up those extra things that you know will prepare you and look good on your resume for your next role. So what you want to do is prepare in silence. Do not act off of emotion. And yeah, things will work out. Also be hopeful. Like, I think something that has definitely worked for me is separating myself from my job. Sometime there was a time when someone would critique what I still struggle with it. It's a work in progress, but it's a lot better now. If someone critiqued what I've done, I'd feel like they're critiquing me. I'd feel like it's an, or I would go into such a low where I'm like, oh, why did I fuck this up? You know, like why, and start beating myself up. But separate yourself from your job. You are whole as you are, and your job is not you. It's not your identity. It's what you do every day, and sometimes you make mistakes, and it's life, and it's okay, and it doesn't define who you are. So if you separate yourself from it, you'll be able to handle some of these negative experiences better, and know that, okay, at this point, this is what it's gonna be. This is what it is, and I know I'm prepping for a much better trajectory. So with that in mind, let me know what questions you have. I'm interested to have more real and honest conversations. Let's help each other out. Let's build each other. And yeah, see you on the next one. Bye.